My daughter Susan called me last Tuesday. She wanted to talk about the future. That's what they say now, the future. What they mean is, when are you going to stop being so difficult and let us take over? I've been having versions of that conversation for 15 years, and if you're over 60 and you still have your mind and your body, I'd wager you've been having it too. So today, I want to talk about something nobody addresses directly. Not what to do when you need help, but what to do when you don't, and your family can't accept that. Because love and control can look identical from the outside, and knowing the difference might be the most important thing you learn in your later years.
Here's what I've come to understand. When your children start making decisions for you, it's rarely malicious. Susan isn't trying to hurt me. She's trying to manage her own fear. Her fear of losing me. Her fear of getting a phone call one day. Her fear of feeling guilty if something goes wrong. That's her fear, not mine. And I refuse to shrink my life to manage someone else's anxiety. But here's where people get it wrong. They either go to war with their family, or they quietly give in. Both are losing moves. There's a third way, and it took me years to find it. The first thing you have to do is know your own lines before anyone tries to cross them. Not in the moment, not when Susan is sitting across the table with her concerned face, listing all the reasons I should be more careful. In that moment, you're on the back foot. You're reacting. And when you're reacting, you lose. I keep a short list in my head. 3 things I will not give up while I'm capable of managing them myself. My home, my car, my daily routine. Those are mine, non-negotiable. Everything else I'm willing to talk about. When you know your lines, you don't have to figure out what you think under pressure. You already know, and that makes you very hard to argue with. Most people don't have this list, so when their family pushes, they fold a little, then a little more. Then one day they look around and they're living a life they didn't choose. Know your lines. Write them down if you have to. The second thing is this. Say what you mean, plainly, once. Not defensively, not apologetically, not with a long explanation that invites debate. When Susan suggested assisted living, I didn't say, I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like maybe I'm not quite at that stage yet, and I'd really like to try to stay where I am if possible. That kind of answer is an opening. It tells the other person, keep pushing. I said, while I can take care of myself, I'm staying in my home. If that changes, we'll talk, but that time isn't now. That's it. Full stop. No apology, no negotiation attached. A lot of older people have been polite their whole lives, polite to the point where they don't know how to make a clear statement without softening it into nothing. That politeness will cost you your independence. You can be kind and still be clear. You can love your children and still say no, but you have to actually say it. Here's the third thing, and this one surprised me when I figured it out. The more you explain, the weaker your position gets. When Susan worries, I used to go through all my reasons. I walk every day, my doctor says I'm fine. I've lived alone for 17 years without incident. I have neighbors who check on me. And she would listen, and then she'd find a counter-argument for each one, because that's what a concerned person does with a list of reasons. They dismantle it. Now, I don't give her the list. I say, I hear that you're worried. I'm not. And then I change the subject. You don't owe anyone a justification for living your own life, especially not your adult children. When you explain too much, you're implying that their approval is required. It isn't. Now, if a doctor tells me something concerning, I listen. If I notice something changing in myself, I pay attention. I'm not dismissing legitimate information. I'm dismissing pressure dressed up as concern. There's a difference. You know the difference. Trust that.
The fourth thing is the hardest one to hold on to. Stay close to your family without letting closeness become leverage, because they will use the relationship. Not always consciously, but "I'm just worried about you because I love you" is a very effective sentence. It makes saying no feel like rejection. It makes holding your ground feel like you're punishing them for caring. You have to separate the two things. I love Susan completely, and I will not let her fear run my life. Those two facts coexist without contradiction. What helped me was making sure she sees me living well, not to prove a point, just so the evidence is there. She visits, she sees I'm managing, she has a real dinner, she goes home reassured. The more she sees I'm genuinely all right, the less ammunition the fear has. I also stopped volunteering the hard days. When my knee was bad for 2 weeks last winter, I didn't mention it. Not because I was hiding things, I can handle a bad knee, but because I've learned that one difficult week becomes a 6-month campaign if you hand it to the wrong person. Share what brings you closer. Protect what belongs to you. The fifth thing is this: let them be wrong about you. Susan thinks I'm more fragile than I am. She thinks I need more help than I do. She worries more than the situation warrants. And I have made peace with the fact that I cannot change her mind directly. What I can do is live in a way that quietly contradicts her worry. Not by arguing, not by proving myself, just by continuing to be exactly who I am. Some people spend enormous energy trying to convince their families that they're capable. They get offended. They feel disrespected. They take the lack of trust personally. I understand that. But here's what I found. Getting hurt by it doesn't help you. It just drains the energy you need for your actual life. You know who you are. You don't need them to agree.
I'm not telling you that family doesn't matter. Mine matters enormously to me. I'm telling you that love from your children doesn't give them authority over your life. And if you wait for their permission to stay yourself, you'll wait forever. You've spent 60, 70, 80 years becoming who you are. That person doesn't stop existing just because someone younger is frightened on your behalf. Hold your lines. Say what you mean. Don't explain yourself to death. Stay in the relationship and let them be wrong. That's how you keep your life. If this reached you, leave me a comment. I do read them. And if you haven't seen my last video, it's linked on screen now. Start there. Until next time, take care of yourself.